Welcome to the Florence Foodies podcast, a place for the community to gather and share the stories, voices, and experiences that make Florence feel like home. To support this podcast and the Florence Foodies platform as a whole, click the Support This Podcast link found in the description.
So the Raceway Automotive jingle is like a lot of jingles, for that matter, but it's one of those that's burned into my conscience probably for the rest of my life.
We've been saving you money every day for over 25 years at Raceway Ford Chevrolet.
Raceway Automotive, no hassles guaranteed.
And my question was, I was just thinking about in preparation for you coming today, is I was thinking about that jingle, and who wrote that?
Actually, a radio station we did business with back in the early 2000s when we started the organization. We just celebrated our 25th year, July, this month.
Congratulations.
25 years ago, we were working with Vicki McCrae. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. She's since retired. Incredible person. Helped us do so much in marketing and radio and TV and everything. She was a great confidant that we trusted and had an incredible relationship with. She facilitated through the radio station a person that created jingles, and we subbed it out, and they came up with several different versions, and what you hear is the version we selected. But it helped us so much when radio was such a predominant part of marketing and advertising. It was a great way to, in your spot, to make you stand out different from anyone else, while getting the message still across of the great deals and values
that's like
that we offered.
Not really a childhood memory. I was a teenager, but it's a young memory. I think what it takes me back to, and if I remember correctly, is hearing, I don't know if that's MRN, but either way, between my uncle and my dad, a lot of times it wouldn't have been uncommon on a Sunday afternoon to be listening to the race on the radio.
Right.
Because we were in the car. We were watching it on television, and just hearing that jingle playing on the radio.
And we had it freestanding as a 30-second spot, or we had it tagging the end of our spots. We had different formats, and it really did well. We did a commercial for July for this month for our anniversary spot, and it sings out at the very end, the jingle. We brought it back because we had stopped using it for a while, just you don't want to run something into the ground.
Yeah.
And we brought it back for the anniversary spot, and we've had very good positive response from people hearing it again, and it kind of brought back positive memories, and we'll start including it some of our digital advertising, and future advertising.
That's a local classic.
Right.
Maybe we might need to call Vicki or somebody and try to get us a jingle.
It's good. It's really well. It's done well for us.
So what got you into the automobile industry?
Had a very good friend. I had a great relationship with. His father was in the car business. I'm originally from Charleston, and he, through a series of events, got me into the business. And we worked at his dad's dealership for a little bit of time, and we ended up, Dad bought him a dealership basically to grow the network, and we ended up moving. Darlington was the place that we felt, this was probably 30 years ago, it was in 95, 96, when looking at expanding his footprint in the state of South Carolina or in the market, we felt Darlington had a huge growth opportunity. And so we moved up here, and I worked for him for about 4 years in a dealership before I was able to, we secured the Ford store down the street in Darlington. That was the first purchase, and we took over July 1st from Dennis Craven, had Stokes Craven Ford. Mm-hmm. He sold the Darlington point and moved to Manning, where he built new stores. He had the Ford and Chrysler Jeep Dodge store there. He has since retired and sold out, but he sold me the store and helped us secure that location back, and we took over July 1st of 2000, which is kind of crazy when you look at the anniversary spot. The takeaway there was my son was 4 months old at the time. He was born in March. My daughter was 3 years old. It was a trying time because we didn't know what the future held. And if you look at our spots now, he's 25 years old and is on the TV spot with me and working with me at the dealerships. It's kind of a full circle, very positive, very thankful, very blessed. But 25 years went by so quick.
So, I mean, 25 years is a long time, and a lot has changed since the year 2000. So one question I thought about was, just I don't even know what direction it would go, but what changes would you say you've seen in the automobile industry over the last 3 decades?
Primary technology. I mean, the car buying experience is still the same. Dealers will tell you across the nation that the buying experience is controlled by the customer. There's a whole psychology to buying cars, and people tell you there's some good car dealers and bad car dealers out there who do deceptive trade practices, they say. I think we pride ourselves on the success we've had for the 25 years and not doing those. We really want to have a relationship with our customers. We're in a small community. We're small stores. Our success is based on relationships. And you've got to, I'd rather make a little on a lot of people. And because our customers stay around a long time, we're not in a very transient area. And I think the buying experience for the most part has stayed the same. It's the technology and how we do it, as well as how the car drives and operates now. The buying experience is still fundamentally the same process, but the difference in the cars itself they're more computerized. I mean, you have a problem with your vehicle. We used to bring it in and adjust multiple things, replace parts. Now a lot of times it's a flash or a program update, and it totally changes the gas mileage, how it pulls, how it drives, just with a simple computer update. And now we have the EVs coming out, the hybrid industry. So that's all new, but it's still fundamentally the same practice. It's all about relationships.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you bring up, and that's actually something that I bring up to clients, prospective clients, or just people in general. For whatever the reason, I guess it's just the cynical nature of the world at this point in time, but a lot of times people are very apprehensive. They're like concerned that somebody is out to get them. That's
right.
That's like just the default to a lot of people's personality these days that I find just in a lot of these different sales businesses. And what I tell people is exactly what you said. I said, look, this is not Manhattan. I said, if any sales professional, real estate agent, obviously in my case, but in yours, it's a car dealership, whatever these businesses may be, if there's a professional locally that's practicing business in a community like this, they're not going to last long.
Right.
It wouldn't be worth it to scam you out of $3,000 because I'm only going to do that a few times and I'm going to lose, $3 million worth of career over the years. It's just, it doesn't really work that way in a community like this. And the people that don't understand that try that type of stuff, like you said, they're not going to last very long.
They're short-lived.
Exactly. Right. And a lot of times whenever I explain that to people, I kind of see a light bulb going and say, well, that makes a lot of sense. Well, it's not just me telling you, that's a fact. I mean, it's actually kind of obvious.
I'd rather make no money and just create the positive experience, because when you have a positive experience, whether it's buying a car, real estate, at a restaurant, anything you do, if you have a positive experience, you're going to go back and tell all those friends and family what a positive experience you had, and that's going to generate. I may not make a lot of money or very little or any on you,
right?
But quantify that.
Exactly.
And then quantify it again. That's where you have longevity in business, and that's where you have business success, in my opinion.
Yeah, your reputation precedes you. Right. And in a community like Florence, Darlington, same thing. That's amplified even more so.
Right. And any other business that is after the quick sell, make as much as you can, usually you don't see them around much longer.
Yeah.
They take care of themselves.
That's wisdom, but not a lot of people have that wisdom. I shouldn't say not a lot. There are people that don't have that wisdom, and they pay the price for it.
Sure.
No pun intended.
Sure.
So, yeah, technology definitely would have been the obvious thing that I would think of. And then even with the sales, kind of going back to that point, another reason it wouldn't make sense, especially in the car game, is you can pretty much go on your phone and get the value of a vehicle.
You can get the values. You can learn all with ChatGPT. ChatGPT. You can do all the comparison. You can get all the information you need on the car, the latest technology packages, the comparative convenience packages, pricing. You can do anything and everything. It's our job to be able to deliver that to you, to properly explain it, set it up, and give you the best price. So the technology is the biggest change, I believe. The core values of selling are still the same. You can do all the research, but you've got to still see it, feel it, touch it.
Right.
And that's our responsibility, and to get you excited about the purchase, because car buying is second to home buying, the biggest purchase you'll have in your life, and we've got to make it a memorable, positive experience. Yeah. And that's the goal. But that's probably the biggest changes. We were faced with this recent under the previous administration. Politics aside, take politics out of it. The previous administration had an EV agenda. And EV is something of the future. It's not going to go away. It's a great technology, but the car dealers nationwide felt we just were putting the cart before the horse. A comparative analogy that I always use was we were in the bag phone era, and the federal government thought everyone needed a bag phone. And it just wasn't right. Not everyone wants to carry a bag phone. Not everyone wants to put the magnet on the roof, plug it in the charger. No one wanted to do that. When we get to the point where it's an iPhone or an Android and it can easily slip in your pocket and have a day or two of charging available, and the convenience and the usage, everyone will have one. But we were kind of putting the cart before the horse. The infrastructure for charging wasn't ready. The battery technology wasn't ready. The resources to create those batteries, dispose of those batteries, wasn't ready. But we were mandating, in essence, everyone to get one. And with all the standards that were being put in place through the EPA, the CAFE standards and such, it was creating a big turmoil. Yeah. And so by stepping those requirements back a little bit, it allowed the manufacturers to take a deep breath and say, okay, we do have an EV market. Let's build cars that fit that EV market, and let's continue to grow this business. Battery technology is accelerating overnight. I mean, the batteries are getting smaller. The range has gotten much, much better already. They're defining ways to not only create the infrastructure for charging, but now they're doing other ways of charging that's less time consuming. So it's happening. We just needed to slow it down and let the rest of the world catch up. I think it'll always be around. You have gas and diesel. People thought diesel would go away. No, people still love diesel. But there's a certain market for it. You can't make everyone drive a diesel, just like you can't make everyone drive an EV. Yeah. And I think as time progresses, more and more people will open their eyes and mind to the opportunities of EV when it becomes more convenient. But we live in a very, America's the place of convenience. And they want everything when they want it, and they want it as convenient as possible. And, there's nothing wrong with that. EV wasn't quite there yet, but it's getting there, and it's going to continue to grow. But that was a big shift we had to adapt and we had to adjust to. Yeah. We were at one point being forced to stock and sell EVs, many at losses, just to hit some quotas that were dictated to us. And having that pressure off us now to then offer it as an asset, a commodity that the customer really wants, and finding that customer that would really benefit from that, and then saying this is something you should consider, makes selling things a lot easier.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Right. That's a good way to say it. And then you could correct me if I'm wrong, but if I understand correctly, another one of the issues with efficiency, that probably another one of those wrinkles that needed to be ironed out. And it's encouraging to hear you say this stuff's happening rapidly, because as you said it, I thought about cell phones and just different technology. And now this stuff grows exponentially. So technology is like rapidly advancing. So that does make a lot of sense. But another thing was the recycling of the batteries. Right. So if I understand correctly, especially maybe even just a couple of years ago, if these things die, then the disposal, recycling, there's not really a great process that was in place.
Correct.
And they're working on that, and apparently that's improving.
Right.
But that was a big issue, though.
And the size of the battery. We have to buy forklifts to install the batteries in your vehicle. It's that heavy. So what are you doing the damage to the roads? Because now these people aren't buying gas and paying taxes, which is the tax on gas is used for road improvement. They're now plugging in, so you have to change the whole income for road improvement, because now we're actually putting more stress on the roads by all this extra weight that's being carried by the battery. That hadn't been addressed really. So it's just, there was a lot. I mean, and that it failed in the rental car fleet. You saw the rental car companies get out of the business very quickly. They're still offering it, but not to the level they were. There was a big publication where Enterprise was liquidating Teslas at insane low prices. They just had to get them out of their fleet. The cars were amazing. The Tesla's a very great, it's an incredible product, but for that specific user. But for the business traveler, for the family traveler who lands at a destination, rents a car, business user going to a couple of meetings, or the family going on vacation, traveling somewhere remotely, but then they got to get back to the airport to fly out, but the hotel didn't have a charger. They got to find a charging station. Sometimes takes 20 minutes, sometimes takes 4 hours, 6 hours.
Yeah.
How are you charging it? Where earlier all I had to do was pull up at a gas pump, take 5 minutes, fill it up, and I was done. That's some of the challenges we were facing, all about convenience. Was it a better product? Was it better for the environment? Absolutely, theoretically, but we have to just work some of those details out.
Right. It's just stuff people don't think about. And then even with that, how does that, what you just mentioned with the charging, if you take all of the 18-wheelers and make them electric, then how does that affect the logistics of shipping and receiving?
Right.
These guys are traveling across the country, so that battery's only, I mean, you're going
And
to
the power
hesitate
companies
to
have
charge
to
that.
adjust for the demand of power coming up.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest troubles we faced during that time period, was when the mandate came out that we had to be EV ready, was a lot of the dealerships couldn't get EV ready overnight because they had to install these charging stations and they didn't have the supply of power to the building. And these power companies are saying, well, we have to readjust so many other components and it will take 6 months, 8 months. Some dealerships were taking a year to get the lines properly ran to their dealerships to accommodate the increased necessary power supply to charge these vehicles. So again, the infrastructure was our biggest challenge. By removing some of those mandates, good or bad, it allowed the industry to take a deep breath and say, okay, let's better approach this for the long term, not the short term.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest thing. I think what you're going to see now is more hybrid technology. Everything's becoming hybrid. So we can have the EV component, but with the gas that's going to charge that battery, so you're not as dependent. So you can have a blend of that technology, which is still going to lessen our demand for gas or lessen our dependency on gas and become more environmentally safer. But it's a good bridge to the two sides.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that. It seems like the hybrids really, at least for now, are the way to go. I've got some friends that have a Toyota Camry hybrid.
Yes.
And they love it.
Right.
So,
It's a safe. They feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
They feel knowing that they can make the long distance trips if they need to. But they're also using a lot less gas, getting insane gas mileage.
it's a good compromise.
Right. And it's all evolving. It's one of those things that continue to grow. Makes the business very interesting.
There was talk about NASCAR going EV. And I
Can
guess
you
they had a
imagine
prototype.
the power?
Yeah, but I was thinking though, wouldn't you have a bunch of almost silent cars running around the track?
Yeah.
That would be horrible, wouldn't it?
Hey, so we can talk about this because one
can.
of the biggest challenges, not about NASCAR, because I don't know the details of
Yeah.
it, but one of the challenges we faced with EV was the lack of sound.
Yeah.
And people were really having a major issue with this. So we can segue into it because that's our challenge in the car industry is how do you sell a car with more power, more performance? It has the capacity is the issue. You get a truck, you can't tow a boat long because it's a battery, so it's draining this power away.
Yeah.
So that's the challenges you're facing. But power, people want to hear the rumble.
Yeah.
So when you look at the hybrid, the EcoBoost and the hybrid, it's taken a vehicle to a V6, not a V8, but performed at a different level. And so you have a higher performance with a smaller engine, but designed better. But the problem is when you crank it up, it doesn't rumble.
Right.
And people are like going, I got to have a V8. But the torque is better, the pull is better, the performance better. Everything is there.
Yeah.
And it's going to be at better. You're going to have a better end result. And you're going to save money while doing it. But when I crank it up, it doesn't rumble.
I know it sounds silly, but I saw the that example. I saw the NASCAR prototype. It was like last year. It wasn't that long ago. I saw it on Instagram or something like that. And I've seen a video. Somebody took one of these cyber trucks and did like a drag race against
Anything.
I forgot what it was, but yeah, anything really. And
Cybertruck's gonna win.
Just dog walked it out the gate.
Right. Take a Ford Mach-E and put it against a V8 truck or anything, the Mach-E will blow it off. The EV power is insane. But you have to remember, it's a battery.
Right.
So the more you hit it, like you pull a boat with a truck, it's taking that battery. The battery only has so much capacity of energy.
Yeah.
So the
So
more
if
you
you-
burn,
yeah.
the less distance you're going to, the less distance on that battery. But put NASCAR on EV. you would have performance at speeds, the 0 to 60, the 0 to 100 would be insane. You would have to somehow control that speed or have professional drivers being able to harness that power because they would have no limits. They would, of course, make them faster, bigger, and everything else. How do you get the distance is the big question because you got to be able to change batteries, charge them, and everything else. But the bigger concern would be, as you and I talked earlier, was there would be no sound because EV is quiet. And I think that's one of our challenges we faced in the car industry was when we were trying to get everyone to convert to EVs because this was going to be the way of the future and it was mandated we switch over. We had to convert people. People were getting these cars and they don't crank up. They just start. It's electric. It just clicks on. You have all the power, all the performance, everything you need. The dash lights up, but they can't hear anything.
Could you imagine gentlemen start your engines?
It's so quiet.
And there's nothing.
Right. It's like there's birds chirping. So, but the manufacturers have done is they've artificially brought in sound. So a lot of your manufacturers have it where you can pick the sound you want. You can make it a race car. You can make it anything. But when you push that button, you'll have the rumble. You'll have the sound of an engine. It can be just say, hey, this is what the car would have sounded like, or it could be a louder noise, and you can adjust it accordingly to give you that peace of mind and that transitional time to get used to this better technology without the gas. But that's, we tell people, hey, we're all about EV, but we're having trouble getting people to convert over to hybrid right now. EV is a big stretch. When you're telling someone, hey, this V6 EcoBoost is going to outperform the V8, and they go, I don't care. I still want to have the V8 because I want to hear it rumble when it cranks up. And I want to have that, they feel that power, even though that hybrid or that EcoBoost is going to still deliver that same performance at a better level.
And then people, too, are concerned about energy problems. And then, so what if the grid goes down? How am I going to charge my vehicle? I can rely on gasoline. But really, you need power. I mean, you could store up gasoline, I suppose, and get you a little bit longer. Right. You might outlast that whole disaster for a little while, but eventually you're still going to need power to get the gasoline to your car, too.
Right. And I think it's more about the timing. Everyone knows there's a gas station on every corner. And if I run out of gas, I can pull up at that gas pump and put $5 in. City times is a little more challenging, but I can put a minimum amount of gas in and I can at least get to point B. Yeah. I can get to the next level. If I want to fill my tank up, it's going to take 3-4 minutes, and I can be ready to go and I can travel the distance. If I need to go back to Charleston, if I need to go to Columbia and I'm out of gas, I can spend 5-10 minutes at a gas station and be done. Pay at the pump, never walk inside, continue my conversation on the phone, and I'm done. EV doesn't quite offer that yet. Yeah. But then for that consumer who goes home at night, plugs their car in every night, charges the full evening, wakes up in the morning with 100% charge, they get up in the morning, they take the kids to school, they go to work 30, 40 miles away, doesn't matter. They live in Hartsville, travel to Florence, working at one of the hospitals, hypothetically, work an 8-hour shift, 12-hour shift, get off, want to go by the mall, pick up a few things, meet the family for dinner, go back by the grocery store. They're driving a lot, but not more than 250, let's say. They get home at night, their battery's still charged, they don't use an ounce of gas, clean energy, they plug it back in, minimal cost, minimal expense, perfect. But that same family, we realize, also has a gas vehicle part, an ICE vehicle part in the driveway. So when they want to go to Disney World, they don't have to take that. They don't have to worry about finding the charge. Now, the technology is there. The car will tell you, if you take that car to Disney World, it'll tell you when you will need to, when you're going to need to recharge, how long it'll take to recharge. It'll take you to the best charging location. It's got the technology there. We're just not, but the concern lies, what if you get there and there's other people taking that charging station up? You've got to wait on them. It's going to take longer to charge the vehicle than it would be to fill the gas pump up. People are wanting instant gratification. Yeah. So these are the challenges we're faced with now that's caused the EV industry to stall a little bit. But it's coming. It's getting better every day. Every day there's new technology coming out that's making EV better and better and better. So it's coming, and it's going to be a great asset to the consumer when it's just like the phones.
Yeah, just like,
But it's coming. And there's lots of new resources coming. The automotive industry is evolving. Just imagine just how it was in the last 25 years, 10 years. And it's exciting, which is why I like it so much. I mean, it's a great business to be part of.
So we talked about, and kind of off camera, and then tying this in together, and we alluded to NASCAR a minute ago. And I would think that being in the automobile industry locally, we're super blessed to have Darlington Raceway here.
Right.
Because, and I talk about a good bit of sports just in general, not just here on this platform, but because we're in South Carolina, we don't have any large markets in terms of metro areas. We don't have a Major League Baseball team. We don't have an NFL team. We don't have an NBA team. Of course, Charlotte is the closest proximity to any of those. And even they didn't, even in my childhood, have a football team for a long time. But
don't have one now, but they're getting there.
Yeah,
they're getting there. There's hope. There's hope.
We'll see. Well, I'm an Eagles fan, so go Birds. So that's
Right,
I wish them the best
right.
of. So anyways, but Darlington's huge. I mean, NASCAR is a major sports circuit across the country and now,
Right.
Maybe in the world. But Darlington is a staple. It's a mainstay for NASCAR. And so anyways, I was saying that there would probably be no better place in the state to have a business set up in the automobile industry than in Darlington. So I know there's a lot of relationship there with y'all. We were talking about changes in NASCAR along with automobiles in general over the years. So I did, just looking at this, and I told you this off camera, I've just started to really get back in. So I grew up, like I said, listening to races on the radio. I mean, of course, watching them on television. We shared some history on that. I was a Bill Elliott fan growing up. And then somewhere around, and then after I said that to you, really doing the math, I think that would have been around 2012 or 11, right. Somewhere there where Tony Stewart, that last championship he won in the 14, that was the last real season of NASCAR that I really watched. And then I stepped away for a while. And I've now that I've gotten back in as of last year, I've heard NASCAR addressing some of these things. Like there was a generation of fans that kind of stepped away. Now there's a new generation of fans that they've seen come in, but trying to reach that other generation and get back to them. So anyways, I would fall in that category. We've gotten back into it, and then there's no experience like actually going to the race. That's the whole thing about it. So last year, and I did a video, it's on the YouTube channel. I took a really good friend of mine from high school. He has no point of reference to NASCAR whatsoever. He had no history, couldn't tell you anything. So I was like, well, I'll get tickets and we'll go to the race. Just something to do.
In the spring?
No, last year. This was last year. Yeah, and we went in the fall.
Yes.
We went to the 500.
So the 500.
We went to I took him to the 500. So I didn't I didn't set him up with any information. I didn't, because we got the tickets a couple months in advance, however long it was. I didn't say anything to him. I gave him nothing to go off of. I said, I'm just going to take him out there, and I already knew that I was going to get content. He does some content as well. He's really good, actually. He's got a channel of his own in lawn care and gardening, but particularly lawn care, grass. And so he's got a good camera. He's talented with the editing. So I said, well, you can come help me get some footage. And we get out there, and you could go see this video. It's hilarious because you can hear him. He had a microphone, so that's why. But that first lap when they cut him loose, I mean, you can hear you can't see it, but you can hear it in his voice. His eyes going wild, like whoa, right. And he had a blast. He said, "I'm locked in now." So it's a unique sport. There's nothing like it. And not to go back to that, but you go back to the sound and all. That's part of the sport. So that would be something. I don't know what you do with that, because there's nothing like it. My house right here, we're right by the Darlington County line, and especially on the evening race, I can stand in my driveway, and we're right off of I-95, our house. But even over I-95 and being how many ever miles we are from the track, if you hear, and I would imagine coming through turns 3 and 4, you can hear the cars. Right. It's just quite an experience. So anyways, I said all that to say, really, I was doing a little homework, and I totally forgot about Chevy, which I'm a Chevy guy, probably out of the two, I would have to say. So there wasn't any reason for it. I just totally forgot. But there's 4 Fords that are locked into the playoffs right now out of the field, and so I'd say that's pretty good.
Yes, Ford's done really well. Ford's had a great history.
I was about to say historically,
Ford Performance has done really, really well in racing and has done very well in Darlington. We've been very fortunate that we have Ford and Chevrolet, have Ford in Darlington, and then I have a Ford dealership and a Chevy dealership in Hartsville. So either side of the track. And fortunately, Ford has been a predominant player at that track for several years. And so it helps our relationship with the track, even though we've always had a great relationship with them. It's a great team over at Darlington Raceway, led by Josh Harris right now. incredible president. They've had a really good history of great leaders in Darlington that have really worked to take that track to the next level. And Josh is the current president and doing an exceptional job growing that track's presence in the community, as well as growing ticket sales for those 2 races we do. They do the one in the spring, as well as the legendary Southern 500. Usually sells out or comes close to selling out every year. He's constantly doing new things with that track to improve it and make it that much better for the fan experience. Always well connected, of course, with NASCAR, bringing drivers to our community, getting them involved in the community, helping better things in our community, as well as with NASCAR, and just done a great job. But as it relates to Ford Racing, they've done very well. Chevy's done well as well. I love Chevy. There's some great drivers across the spectrum. It's not the same, like you and I talked off camera earlier, the era growing up with Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott and Tony Stewart, and that's another era that's even
Earnhardt.
before, Earnhardt. And then you have the other era that people went with Cale Yarborough. The times have changed the drivers a little bit, but nothing negatively. It's just a different era. You have to learn a whole new set of drivers and a whole new playing field. But they've all done really well. The car technology is totally different today. The technology they have with cars today, comparative even back to the Rusty Wallace or even to the Cale Yarborough days, is so much more advanced. It's fascinating, the knowledge they have on those cars and how they can make them perform at such a high level for that long, and how they do that sport. It really is an amazing profession to have. These are guys that are expertly trained at a different level in today's world. It's a whole nother.
It is. And just driving those cars, I remember, I don't know if you remember this, there was a TV show. So Shaquille O'Neal had a show back in like the early 2000s.
Shaquille O'Neal has everything.
Yeah, I know. But you're right. He's had quite a few shows. But he had a specific show that was his titled Shaq Versus. I don't know, do you remember that show? And
no, but I don't doubt it.
He would challenge professional athletes from other sports.
Oh, wow.
So he boxed Oscar De La Hoya, which is hilarious. And I'm a big boxing fan, especially, over the past couple of decades, not quite as much now. And that's really just because I can't stay up till 1 a.m. watching boxing anymore.
Right.
That's actually the main reason why. But De La Hoya is a much smaller man than Shaquille O'Neal. Most people are. But De La Hoya was a welterweight. So, De La Hoya's around my size. I'm not a really big guy.
Right.
About an average height and, maybe a $155 I should be. I've gained a few pounds doing Florence Foodies content.
Not a bad thing.
But anyways, but one of the episodes he actually raced on, it was a local track somewhere around Concord where the Earnhardt families resided. I guess that's hometown. Anyways, it's actually Kannapolis, North Carolina. Anyway, somewhere around Junior's area, neck of the woods, there was a track, and they go out there, and you would think, well, you just get in the car and drive it. One of the issues they had was actually getting Shaq in the car. They had to customize, he had to come in through the roof, but they designed a car to get him into it and get all that worked out. And you would think, well, you just, I can go drive one of those cars. How hard could it be? Controlling one of those vehicles at that speed is not as simple as one might think. And if you go back and watch that episode, you could probably find it on YouTube. What they did to kind of even the playing field is in that particular episode, I think they gave Shaq a 1-lap or 2-lap head start. So they waved the flag. Junior's got to sit there, and he goes ahead and cuts a couple laps, and it's like a 4-lap race around this little 3/4 of a mile track, 1 mile track, something like that. And Junior just flying around, about scared Shaq to death when he goes blowing past him. And it's
Shaq probably felt he was going extremely fast.
Felt like he was, yeah. So, hey, I'm doing pretty good.
Right.
But it's it's just one of those things. It's a sport. It's different, and you don't know it till you get some experience with it. So a lot of people weren't exposed to it.
That Rusty Wallace driving experience, and they have other businesses that do that, and they've done it at Darlington several times a year, where you can actually drive the car, a true car on the track, and feel the challenges they experience.
Yeah.
But one of the last things they do is let the professional driver take you on that last lap, and it's an experience if you've never done that.
Eye-opening experience.
Yeah. That's the some of the scariest
So
moments,
some
but
stuff
exciting.
we've sold it since, but I had a Hyundai Sonata that I had, and I actually took that out on the track last year because they opened it up. I forgot which one that
for
was.
the charity laps.
Yeah, it was one of them. They've done a couple, but this was one. And, just thinking about how, and the banking really at Darlington's not even as steep as some of these other tracks,
Correct.
especially these big major speedways. But people don't realize that you don't just go drive it. I mean, when you get up there and you're sideways, it's a very different experience.
Especially imagine going almost
At
200 miles an hour.
185, 90 miles an hour. Exactly,
right. Yeah, I've got some experiences that's some of the most scariest experiences I've done.
What's the fastest you've ever drove a vehicle?
Personally,
About 140 miles an hour for me is the fastest.
I think
I've ever drove.
155 in a Corvette in a controlled environment. But I'll tell you a story. We were doing a photo shoot at the track. Very, very thankful for the folks at Darlington for helping me. Years ago, we had a black Mustang, the newest Corvette, and we were doing for Raceway, because we had Ford and Chevrolet, and we were doing a photo shoot with the Mustang and the Corvette in the winner's victory lane and some of the start-finish line, just some local shots, nothing for press or nothing for publication. And Chip Weil was the president. He was a great friend, but he has experience on the track. We'll just say that. He's driven on the track. He has all the knowledge, so it wasn't a rookie move. I would consider him a professional driver. And I wanted to drive the Corvette on the track. I drove it on the track with him, and he decided, let me drive the car. Let me try it out one time. And I did. And I squealed like a little girl. I mean, he scared the living crap out of me. Incredible driver, never did any damage, professional, knew what he was doing, but I only could imagine what it was like if you're racing. Three wide, two wide, the number of cars on that track. I mean, we hit some high speeds on that track, and we were by ourselves, and it was so.
Yeah.
I just knew we were going to hit a wall, and he was relaxed,
Darlington,
calm.
you very well might.
Yeah, he was very calm, but he knew it. He knew the track. He knew what he was doing. He was a professional. I just hadn't experienced it, and it was quite an experience, something I'll never forget. And it truly makes you appreciate NASCAR. It makes you appreciate the sport. More importantly, it makes you appreciate the drivers and all of the engineering and technology used in those cars to get them to go that fast for that distance. It's an amazing, amazing experience. So if you go to a race and you love the adrenaline, the excitement of the engines and everything else, spend a little bit of time and understand the technology and the true sport and the what's all engineered and behind that makes you appreciate it at such a whole complete another level. Truly is amazing. And then from the local track level, how they bring in, we double the size of the county in a weekend. Yeah. And for a football or stadium or something, they do it every weekend. They're adjusted to it. They're used to it. We do it twice a year, and the folks at NASCAR and Darlington Raceway with Josh do an incredible job of getting him in and getting him out. Highway Patrol doesn't. I don't know how they figured out. They perfected reversing lanes and getting traffic, but they do a really good job with it. And it's amazing. It's an experience. I think everyone should go to it. I mean, it's buy your tickets at DarlingtonRaceway.com.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a race coming up. And
right.
I won't say too much more because I told you, I mentioned this, but Josh Harris is actually supposed to be our next guest next week. So we'll probably save some of this conversation. Otherwise, it's going to get redundant for the audience.
Right.
Like, man, we just heard this last week. But I will say, for anybody that's not familiar with NASCAR, it's neat. If you don't know, then you're like, I don't get it. It's just cars driving around in a circle. But it's actually, when you start to understand, not only is the race experience awesome, even if you don't have any interest at all, you should still go to a race to get the experience. That could alone pull you in. Right. But then the technicality of the sport, like you said, the engineering and, listening to different crew chiefs throughout the years. I remember even listening to Jimmy Johnson talk years ago, and it's something he was saying, and I remember just that really standing out to me, talking about just down to the millimeter. I mean, how refined the actual engineering is to be competitive, because the speed comes down to a matter of milliseconds, the competitive advantage for you and somebody else. And I think NASCAR throughout the years has made that even tighter. So you've got to find a way to be faster than the guy next to you. couple other things I'll say too, and I'll save some, like I said, that for next week. But even the safety, and that's not just now. I mean, the cars obviously probably are much more safer than they were in the 90s, but even back then, and you could go to the museum at one point in time and see some of these cars. I don't think they have. I think I remember seeing an old Darrell Waltrip car that had been in a wreck out there years ago, I think, if I remember correctly. But I remember seeing Rusty Wallace flip through the infield about 12 times and get out the car and walk off. So even back then, even going back to the 90s, the safety that NASCAR's had in these cars to be able to drive 200 miles an hour and flip and roll like that and walk away from it is amazing.
Well, the Cale Yarborough legendary crash in turns 3 and 4 where he goes over the wall.
Over the wall,
and still comes out fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a legend within himself.
He is.
To have him in the Florence area was amazing.
Huge, yeah.
True legend.
Darlington is definitely, I'm so glad that, I know we lost a race temporarily and then got that back. And I'm glad that NASCAR has worked to preserve that. And then even what's going on out the track. Like I said, we'll save that for next week. Sure. But we love having that here. And the people that aren't aware of how big of an asset that is to our community, I would encourage them to go out, go to a race.
Experience it. And then, not like you said, not only with the racing itself, the adrenaline just from being out there and experiencing the engines and the speed and the challenge it takes to drive those cars. But then if you do a little bit of, if that doesn't grab you, do a little bit of research and understand what's all involved in putting that together, totally brings you in.
It is. It's a very technical sport. So eSport has its own nuance that really makes it what it is. These sports they bring in a lot of revenue and they require a lot of skill for a reason. Yeah. But you got to get familiar with it. So it's just like tennis. A lot of people don't watch tennis. I don't watch tennis, but we just happened to be talking about it last night, so I'll use it as a reference. But that's a very difficult sport to play if you've never tried. Same thing as golf. Some people probably see golf as boring. Well, go out there and try to drive a golf ball 350 yards straight and get it into
straight is the problem
within 4 or 5 shots.
Right.
And we had John Weiss on last week, and you'll understand.
He's an incredible golfer.
Exactly.
He's insane. His dad is the same way. They own the golf.
You're
network.
not just going to jump out there and compete with him.
Right.
And then you'll understand. Oh, wow, this is
right.
It's a lot of fun once you actually. I had no interest in golf until I tried to actually swing a golf club and actually get out on the golf course years ago. And then I was like, man, this is a lot of fun. And then all of a sudden you go back and watch golf on television and you can appreciate what these guys do a lot more. So, and ladies. So anyway.
If you play golf, get John Weiss Jr. on your team.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, maybe, you could help me develop my golf swing because
he's the guy you need on your team. He's incredible. He's incredible. He and his father, they're both incredible guys.
So just kind of really just through being Facebook friends and just kind of seeing some of your content pop up, I know that you're a Gamecocks guy to some extent. And, I certainly am just a fan and a prior student. I grew up as a Gamecocks fan, so that's just in my DNA. How excited are you about this football season? I think we have a lot as fans, from casual to intense, extreme fans. I think we all have a lot to be very excited about this season coming up.
We've said it often that this is our year, but I really think this is our year. We've got it. This is going to be a great year. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. Both my kids, my daughter and son, are both graduates of USC. I love the school. I love everything about it. We've had some challenges in the past, but it's been a great building process. I think it's only getting better. College sports have taken a lot of challenges between the NIL and a lot of just changes in the world today has made it even more challenging. But I think at the end of the day, people love sports, regardless of what all the dynamics are going on around it. And we've had some challenges. We've had some challenges in player recruitment, leadership. But I think the team at USC has a great vision, and they're executing that vision, and they're doing a great job with it. And I think we're going to have a great year.
Yeah, and a lot of that credit has to go to the staff that's running that program now. Obviously, our athletic director position changed recently, and I won't go back down this road because the people that listened to the episode with Will Edwards, I know I was on the Shane Beamer cheerleader wagon a lot during that episode, but he does deserve a lot of credit for what he's done with the program. So,
and the former AD, one of the best guys out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's legendary at the
He
University of
is.
South Carolina for
He
what he
truly
accomplished
is
with the baseball
legendary.
team. Yeah.
Right.
So-
I got to know him a little bit with my daughter when she was at 4 years at USC. She rode on the equestrian team. And so I got involved with some of that during that time period. And just great leadership. USC has great leadership from the board down. They've done a really good job. They've had some hiccups. We've all had opportunities. There's things they could have done differently. There's things that everyone could have done differently in life. But overall, USC's done a good job in managing all the athletics. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know that aren't public knowledge, things that I don't even know. But I know the leadership has dealt with many, many challenges and dealt with them well and kept that team and school in general doing well overall. And it's a growing process. And I think overall, given the challenges we've all faced, I think all college sports are from equestrian to basketball to golf to volleyball, softball. Some of these other sports don't get as much limelight and recognition, but it's a challenge. You're dealing with a lot of kids during college years are going through a lot themselves. There's a lot of growing, and you've got some adults that are some leaders. They're all adults trying to navigate and grow while educate these kids, and that's a challenge. That's a real challenge, and I think it's even getting more challenging as the world develops and with all this other stuff going on. So still making it entertaining, and it's still a fun venue to go to. I think it's going to be a great year. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. And I mean, it just to kind of give some more light to what you just said, because I think that it's like I mentioned in our culture, there's a lot of cynicism. So people are very just negative about a lot of things. But really, if you look at the University of South Carolina as a whole in terms of athletics, and I think there was a national championship, and I'm not super well versed in equestrian, so you have to forgive me. But I think there was a national championship.
Right before my daughter started.
Okay, yeah, I was like, it wasn't that long ago.
But they went to nationals every year.
Yeah,
they didn't ever garner the championship during her 4 years, but they still did exceptionally well. And once again, I think I saw a lot. Granted, equestrian is much smaller in the spectrum of athletics at USC, but watching the challenges of you have a sport it's a very competitive sport, just like any other sport. But you have to remember these are young adults that need to be educated, because athletes, I mean, even looking at football, not everyone's going to get recruited to the NFL. Only the best of the best. Those other young adults on that team need to be educated properly to handle finding a job and settling down if football is not going to be. Everybody wants to take that next leap, but if you're not, how are you going to educate and mold that young adult to be that responsible person to the next level? And you've got to do that while also pushing for that national championship.
Right.
And it's a very challenge. It's a strong challenge that I think some people, not everyone, doesn't articulate. They just care about the win, and they don't understand that all the dynamics involved. That we also have to. This young adult, this student has to also get educated, go to school, learn, become accountable. And some people in the football program, the equestrian program, whatever, golf, they enjoy the sport. They're very, very good at it, but they have other aspirations outside of college. They may want to become a doctor. They may want to become an accountant. They may want to try different fields. So you have to prepare that student for that while also winning. That's important. So colleges it's a hard field, but all things considered, they do a great job with it. And Clemson's got a good season coming up, I think. Clemson's coming back around, and
they do.
I think it's going to be a good year for football across
it should
the
be.
board.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
We're playing at USC this year, Clemson, and of course we'll win. But
hopefully, for some reason, it's like we do better over there than we do at home.
I know. But
we're definitely excited about it. And then, of course, we got our hometown quarterback, and he's getting all kind of hype and exposure. So, but he's I mean, at least from what we could see, he seems to shoulder that well. So, because that could be overwhelming, I would imagine. Then that's a lot of expectation. I saw a report yesterday. I wish I would have remembered. I should have took note of where it came from, because it could have just been I don't remember what it was. I don't know if it was a national outlet or not. But regardless, these type of conversations are out there that, Lenore Sellers could be a potential number 1 overall draft pick in the NFL draft, which that's huge.
And I agree.
That's 100%.
But the great thing about him is, and I've never personally met him, but he was raised well. And it speaks volumes to our area of the state, where the college has done a good job in publicizing some of his statements he's made, where it's not about the dollar, it's not about the win, it's about the big picture. And he's a great guy. He's just done exceptionally well, and I think he's a good representation of the sport because he's so well-rounded. He doesn't forget his family. He doesn't forget his friends. He has really managed his success and new fame very well, and I think it speaks volumes. And I'm glad he's from the area. It represents us well, and I think everyone is very proud of him.
Yeah,
I think everyone is proud to say that he's from this area, and I think there are some people, even if you're a diehard Clemson fan or anywhere else, people are still proud of this guy because he is represented the area, but represented the sport so well, and the true values and the meanings of what's important.
Yeah.
And that 4 years of college, who are you 10 years from now? Who are you 15 years from now? Whether you're recruited and drafted to the NFL or not. At the end of the day, it's the person. And equestrian still continues to move. They've done exceptionally well this year. They have a new coach this year who's done really, really well. But USC as a whole has done really well. I think there's a lot of great improvements going on.
Not to mention the women's basketball team.
Women's basketball.
Of course.
Don Staley's
legend.
Yeah. Legend. The great thing about her, if you have an opportunity to meet her, she's even better in person.
I can see that.
She truly is. Most humble, genuine person. Again, it goes back to the fundamentals of that. I think is the core of success. It's the same analogy we talked about in business, whether it be real estate or the car industry. You've got to take care of your core. You've got to make relationships for long term. And she is the epitome of that. She really builds a relationship. I'll tell you a quick story. We had a meeting with Ford the other day at the stadium. We had some relevance of the meetings secondary, but Don Staley came up, and we had it was a small group meeting, and we had some time to talk to her and ask some candid questions. And it wasn't a large group, so it wasn't really, the media wasn't there, no one was there. And someone said, how do you manage, how do you grow this team so well? What kind of rules do you put in place that create such a structure in your team? And they were trying to relate it to in your business. What do you do to grow that team to make it such a loyal? Because you have a great team. That's what your success is, your team. How do you grow that team to be so successful? What rules do you put in place? And she looked back and she says, rules? We don't have rules. She goes, I don't have any rules at all. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, I've heard of these sports where if you're 5 minutes late to practice, the whole team is penalized, and they have to stay late 30 minutes, an hour. They have to run laps. They have to do all this other stuff. Do you have similar rules for accountability? And she truly looked bewildered, like, no, I don't have rules. She goes, I recruit for talent, and I recruit for values. And she goes, if you're of the mind frame, if you're the person that doesn't have the values to respect your team, to show up on time, you're not part of my team. That's not the person I'm looking for. That's not the person who's looking for success. I don't tell people when they have to be at practice. They know to be number one, we have to practice. Yeah. And every team member is dependent on each other. And she goes, we don't have rules. We have expectations. And if your expectations are not parallel to ours, you probably don't need to be part of our team. And it was like an aha moment where you think about if you ran your business the same way. We have to have expectations within our team. And if you don't follow that same level of expectations and that same level of respect to the consumer, that same level of accountability to each other, maybe it's the wrong person. Maybe it's the wrong fit. Not saying it's a bad person, but maybe it's the wrong fit.
Right.
And you understand now, looking at her team, why she's so successful, amongst many other levels of brilliance that she has. But she's incredible. She's incredible.
Well, it's like you said, it's like that in any business for that matter. So I mean, a lot of these athletes that aren't going to end up being professionals, that that same understanding, you're going to need to apply that to whatever you're going to do. And if
Right.
you want mediocrity, then blow stuff off and show up
Right.
late and
But hey,
push it off to the side.
And it goes back to Sellers from his values, his it's almost that same level. And I think that's helped him launch his success because he knows what's important. He knows the values. He has those values, those morals, those ethics. And I think that's what catapults you to the success that you experience.
Yeah.
Quite interesting.
Yep. A lot to be excited about in
Yes.
Columbia.
Yes.
So it is now that time for the Florence Foodies' favorite Florence food item segment presented by Drayton Realty Group. And I can't limit you to Florence County. I normally say Florence County because it is Florence Foodies. I said this off camera or off the air, whatever. But I consider we might as well just call it Florence Darlington County. I mean, I'm politically speaking, you can't do that. I understand that, but there's so much overlap in our counties. We have Florence Darlington Tech, so I'm not going to limit you to Florence County. Out of Florence and or Darlington County, what is one or a few of your favorite local food items when you go out to eat?
So I love food, as you can tell. But I will travel the world to find the best of the best. I'm a little foodie at heart, deep down inside, and I love experiencing quality food. Doesn't have to be expensive food. It's a matter of quality food. And finding that quality burger, pizza, steak, whatever it may be, I'm about that experience. I love quality. In Florence, Darlington, the whole area has some incredible food. They really do. I mean, from Darlington, Todd Hardy over there has the South of Pearl, which is a gem of a restaurant. People from around the state come to it. He creates an incredible atmosphere and an incredible lunch. Hartsville has some incredible food establishments. They all have their unique branding and their unique style, which makes them that much better. I think there's some gems across the Dairy Bar with their hot dogs and hamburgers, Spring Mart with their legendary hot dogs as well. You have it across the state, really. But pizza has always been my forte. I love pizza. I have a pizza oven at home. I love good quality pizza. I will travel. What did Oprah pick? Her best pizza restaurant was out in Arizona, I believe it was. I traveled to Arizona and tried it out, and it was really good. It was really good. My go-to pizza spot used to be a restaurant on South Street in Philadelphia. They're no longer in business, unfortunately, but it was some of the best pizza I've ever experienced. And I've been known to travel to Philadelphia for the weekend, maybe to get some pizza.
We'll be going up there very soon.
Unfortunately, they're no longer in business, but Philadelphia's got some great pizza.
They do.
I've been to, I followed Dave Portnoy's pizza segments.
Yeah.
I love them. I've been to Sally's in New Haven. I've kind of trekked to some of his best pizza places to compare, and he's really good at what he does, obviously. But I do love pizza. But locally, there are some incredible pizza restaurants. But my go-to pizza place has always been Allen's Rebel Pie. I mean, and I think it's because of the knowledge of what behind the scenes occurs. There's
Yeah.
some really good pizza out there, and it may be comparable, but because of my personal friendship with Alan, incredible guy, brilliant chef. His culinary abilities, I don't think people understand to the level of his intelligence in the culinary world, which makes me more in awe with his performance. You have the wood fire grill, the oven.
Yeah.
Most of those wood fire pizza places you see have little gas burners behind it. He doesn't have gas. There's no gas. It's all natural. His cheese, his meats, his sauce, the dough, how everything is made so fresh, and he's so particular about what pepperonis, what cheese he's going to use. It's not just we're out of cheese, let me go run down to the local supermarket and grab a bag. That is not what he's going to do. So his level of quality is so much higher. Not saying anyone else doesn't do that, but I've come to appreciate his so much. When he started in that warehouse in Timmonsville, my kids and I would go over there and have some of the best pizza in the world, and we've kind of followed him over to his new location, and it's just a go-to. It's a go-to. It's some of the best of the best. But you have other places in Florence. For the team that has Tubbs and King Hefe. I had a gentleman from the car industry from Australia in South Carolina We were working on a mutual project together, and he was experiencing the East Coast for the first time, and we went to King Jefe. Where else can you get Mexican with sushi at the same time? And done so well.
Yeah.
Done so well. Everything they do there is some of the best food. And you go to Tubbs. I mean, all their restaurants. Those collards at Tubbs, aside being incredible seafood, those collards taste like my grandmother's. And you just can't find that. So there's some great, great food. But pizza's my go-to, without a doubt. But I can't wait to try Elliot's. Have not been there yet. And there's some other great restaurants in Florence that I want to try out that I need to get. Yeah. I need to stop working as much and get out there more often, because finding that good quality food is the challenge. And there's some really good places popping up now that deliver without question in the small market we're in.
Well, that's a great answer. And just to touch on that real quick, going back to Allen's, the first time I went years ago to Rebel Pie, I wasn't familiar with. I've been on a whole food education for years now, so it's like food college. It's been kind of cool and kind of fattening. But I learned, I didn't at the time know the difference in pizzas. So I didn't really actually know what Neapolitan pizza was. I was completely ignorant to what it was, and so that I had no preparation for it, so it threw me off. But the comment that I remember making to the guy I was talking to is after I went, and he asked me how it was. I'm still trying to orient with Neapolitan pizza. That would come a little bit later. But the one thing I did say is I can tell you this, I was immediately able to detect the quality of ingredients. That was without question.
By far.
And so when you kind of can get sensitive to and have a palate to different quality of ingredients of anything, cheese, bread, dough, tomato sauce, vegetables, whatever it is, you should be able to pick up on that with Allen's Pizza. And that's definitely something that has him stand out. And so obviously he's a friend of our platform, and we've done a showcase on Rebel Pie. If you've never seen it, you should go watch that video. We did a whole showcase with Allen and his team in that restaurant. They do a really good job. So great answer.
Regardless of where I travel to, whether it be overseas, in the States, when I get pizza, because I'm always trying to find the best pizza. Even in Italy, I've sent some pictures to him and says, not quite there, but almost. Maybe they could take some guidance. Or this one's comparable, close to it, but not. We all have this running back and forth. I'm always sending him pictures of ovens and pizzas that compare to his, but he definitely. People don't realize in Florence the quality. It's in this little quaint little plaza off Second Loop. What a gym we have, and the talent that leads that whole culinary initiative right here. And we've got some other great guys as well. So, and there's, Town Hall is an incredible restaurant. They do a lot of farm to table. Victor's, there's just so many great restaurants, but also little smaller, less known places in our immediate area, driving distance. That is so incredible.
Yeah.
Some of the great stuff. So it's a great thing.
Well, that's 100% true.
What's your new go-to?
Just in general?
Yeah. The best thing you've had.
Best thing I've had.
Recently.
Well, I did a video. I actually did it. We shared it on Facebook. It was a video that we did. Well, it's on the YouTube channel also, as a matter of fact. So you could scroll down and find that if you're watching this on YouTube. There's another hole-in-the-wall type of joint, little just inconspicuous place. There's a barbecue place called Country Cousins in Atlanta. And they do an excellent job. So
in Atlanta?
In Atlanta.
So people are like going, I was of that same person. I'm from Charleston. I have a place in Charleston.
Yeah.
Because it used to be, why do you have a place in Charleston? To see family, to see friends, but also to get some food that's not a meat and 3 vegetables, kind of that. Yeah. As much as I enjoy it, I need something other than, as much as I love Olive Garden and Outback, I needed something other than, But then as I've gotten older, and I appreciate some of these smaller places that have the same quality, sometimes if not better than some of your bigger markets like Charleston, Atlanta, Charlotte. I've had some of my best meals in this area. And it's some of those smaller places that you find some incredible, really good food.
So if you've never been, you should go out there and check. If you like barbecue, go check them out. But they do a phenomenal job. And it's a generational thing. So they've picked it up from the generation previous. I think they started in Scranton, but now they're in Atlanta. But it's the same restaurant, and even down to the details, going back to Allen, like their chicken bog. If you watch that video, I made a comment. I said, I'm sure this sausage is local. Well, Danielle commented and she said, yeah, it is in fact local sausage. But you can tell that when you, especially when you're sensitive to those things, you can pick up on it. And that makes all the difference in the world. Like, no offense to Johnsonville, but there's a difference in if you're putting Johnsonville sausage in your chicken bog versus, meat packing right around a local pig right around the corner.
Right.
And so they do a really good job.
Yeah, and
so that would be my answer.
Some of the restaurants in general, nationwide, worldwide, have gotten so much into keeping the cost down and going quantity, not quality, and not saying everyone, but even like the fast food joints. I mean, you're mass producing stuff. So how do you break from that norm and find those good quality places, small or large, that can really take the time and build on a good quality delivery of a meal?
Yeah.
Diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Yeah.
That guy for everything. Watching them prepare those meals, those are the places I want to go that use that local ingredients to make a local dish that's unique to the area, but really good, really authentic.
Yeah.
Not full of all the preservatives and
which is business. So in business, you gotta make a profit, or you can't keep your doors open. But
right.
There is, and that's why it's good to have a
How do you
mixture.
find that calming?
Yeah. So that's why it's good to have a little bit of both. And
yes,
definitely the mom and pops like Country Cousins or even Elliott's or Rebel Pie. All of these places, we strongly encourage people to go check these places out because a lot of times
support local.
Well, but you get a little bit better quality too, though.
Right.
Once you start to kind of get sensitive to that, you're like, oh, okay, this is actually a little bit better than what I might get over here.
And it might cost a little bit more, but what are you getting for that? It's not all about the price. You've got to have to make sure that you're experiencing the right delivery.
But then you can compartmentalize it. And so you're going to different places for different reasons, and then you can appreciate each place for what it has to offer and what its strong suits are. So.
Right. And I'll tell you, I'm all about the local, support local. We've really grown over our 25 years in the car business. That's been one of our biggest underlying part of our foundation of our business is supporting local. We want to support not only the local businesses, the local families, the local nonprofits. We want to be part of the community, but supporting local is important because it seems as time has passed, you're losing that connectivity with these small communities. And the way they're going to continue is by having that local support, especially for those small places like Country Cousins in Atlanta. So many people can go to the bigger barbecue places and get maybe a little bit more food for less money, but does it have the quality? Maybe, maybe not. But who are you supporting? And I'm not saying that the larger places don't need your support as well, but having those local places like in a small town like Atlanta, it's important. We just did a pretty significant expansion to our Chevy dealership in Hartsville, a lot expansion, acquired some land, expanding the lot, did a bunch of stuff. And one of the things I was most adamant about in that whole project was using local vendors. Could I have gotten it cheaper from an outside of this community, outside of our market? Could I have gotten the, whether it be land clearing or the asphalt or the lighting or we put a digital billboard up. We did all this expansion to it, but I made a point to, if it could be bought or purchased or installed or managed locally, we went that first. Price became secondary at that point because you have to support local. Yeah. You have to get that local because I also know if there's a problem, I want to call that guy up who I know and have a relationship with versus some of these bigger companies. They're here today, gone tomorrow, or they don't, you're a number. Yeah. And it's important, even in the car business. And I think most people in this community know that, how important it is to buy locally because, you may save a couple $100s to go to Charlotte or go to another bigger market to buy a car, but it's inevitably something may go wrong with that vehicle. And you need to have that local relationship with that dealer to get that service, to get that. And that's with anything. Same thing as real estate. I'd rather deal with a local realtor that I have a relationship with, a realtor that I go to church with, a realtor that I see in the store versus someone who I have no idea.
It's actually, I'll take a moment to say this because every realtor that hears this will say thank you for saying that. Because every time they said they appreciate it. It's the realtor, yes, but that usually, more often than not, you hire a local realtor anyways, because even if you call a realtor that's out of the market, like if you call me to buy a home in Aiken, I'm probably going to refer you to somebody in Aiken because it's a disservice to you. And I can't really service you the same way I can here for a variety of reasons. I won't get into all of that. But so that's probably what I would do. Where more frequently in our business it happens is with the lender side.
Right.
Because these lenders, so you've got these big box like Rocket Mortgage, and not to throw anybody under the bus, but just to say that really we always encourage people to contact a local lender for these reasons. And I could go down the list. This is not the time for it. We've done it in other places. Maybe we'll do it again in the future. But yes, local is definitely the way to go. And in our business, if you're going to get a mortgage, if you're looking for a mortgage, please contact a local lender. It's a big benefit to you, even if you do not realize it. It's going to make your experience much smoother.
And that local realtor can help you find that local lender that has a better relationship, because it is important.
And they have to work together too. That's the other thing people don't realize.
Right.
Yeah.
But that real estate agent who sells houses day in and day out, housing being the biggest purchase, car buying being the second, you need to have someone that can represent your interest, because it doesn't happen that often. Some people may buy a house once in their entire lifetime. Deal with that local person that you know that you can follow up with on home inspections and everything else. Same thing with buying a car. You want to have that person that you have a relationship with to buy a car from, because it's important to make sure all those I's are dotted and T's are crossed, and that you're getting the best value for your buck, because it's a large purchase. And you want to have it that, because it's such a large purchase, a year down the road, should you have a problem, someone that can help you navigate through that.
You want to know where to find him.
Right.
So with that said, just before we close this up, would you like to just take a moment for those that don't know and tell the audience where they can find you?
And we have, for 25 years, Darlington and Hartsville. We have Raceway Florida Darlington, which is off the bypass in Darlington. And then in Hartsville, we have a Chevy and a Ford dealership side by side off 5th Street. In Hartsville. Hartsville is a great community. Darlington's an incredible community. We're kind of snuggled right on either side of the track, a few miles away. Not close. We're close enough to the track we can hear them. But in Darlington County, we love people to come. We have people from all around the PD come buy cars from us. We do offer, I think, a little more of a hometown local environment, because we're not one of the big box stores. Locally owned, locally operated, family. We live in Darlington. So we're here every day. We're in the store every day, either myself, my son, or I have an incredible leadership team that helps navigate us through the day-to-day operations. But we've all been there for a long time, and we sell you a car today. We're going to be here tomorrow. We want to be here over the next couple of years. We want to help you with your next car purchase as well as your friends and family, because we want to build that relationship. And I think, once again, that's been the key to our success over the past 25 years. It's amazing that I started the industry only 5 years old, because I'm only 30 now. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you look great for 30.
right. I wish I was 30. But yeah, 25 years has flown by. But I do believe that's been our key to success, is having that community relationship. Buying local, supporting local, we get that in return, and that means a lot, just like with any other business.
Well, John, I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking the time to stop by and sit down and do this episode with us. And
appreciate it as well.
Maybe we'll see you out at the track at the
Too Tough to Tame here soon,
Yeah.
and for lunch.
Yeah.
We'll grab some pizza or some barbecue.
Well, we can definitely do that. I'm always available for that, I think. So,
great.
All right, John, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And as always appreciate y'all's viewership, and y'all take care, and God willing, we'll see you on the next one.